Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching Teen Wolf, Season 4, Episode 9.
Perishable.
This is a lot of information to take.
Yeah. 2 near car crashes, a fortune won and lost.
I guess I would probably end up putting it on my good episode list.
I agree. I was like...
Though I have many issues with it.
Yes, but I was like roped in from the get on this one.
We open with Parish being...
He's tied to his police car, he's passed out, he's all wet, and we don't know why.
Oh, we start with this. Okay. There just has to be more efficient ways to kill a cop.
Hey! Hey! What are you doing? Listen to me, I'm a deputy with the Beacon Hill Sheriff's Department.
Damn. I was hoping you'd be out longer. You're a good guy, Parish, but the list says you're worth $5 million.
What? I mean, I barely make $40,000 a year.
I only make 36.
It's just, I don't know, it's just so hellish.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this.
You're worth $5 million dead, Parish.
I mean, I might kill an annoying coworker for $5 million, but I wouldn't do this.
No.
You're just gonna stand there?
Ew, and just like with an iPod.
Yeah, this was so gnarly when it happened. I remember being like, ah!
I do think it is a nice bit of irony that Haig, I guess they called him, he makes like $4,000 less a year than Parish does, which is hilarious.
And I mean, I think that that's an issue I have with this entire episode, is I'm fine with almost all of the information, but I object to how it's presented and or its placement within the show.
Sure.
Because that's just such an accelerated, like, and Parish is properly established at this point.
Yeah.
And we have hinted at, even in 3B, where he was like, I don't know, I just felt drawn here. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like, we know, but it's very aggressive. And also for some reason, and I mean, I guess I know why, it's because of Parish, and we'll get to that in a minute, but all of the assassins' MO this episode is immolation.
Yeah.
Which is...
Well, okay, so at the end, the one cop that was dragging them into the school said, Haig told me to set you on fire. So it seems like they were working together.
Well, why would he do that? Like,
maybe they were planning to, like, split all of the money?
That's just such a gnarly way to kill somebody.
And
it's
I also
not
think...
effective. It's horrible.
Well, it is effective if you're not... It
can be, yeah.
If you're not whatever Parish is. The thing I was going to say,
but
too...
also, so is shooting somebody in the head. Like...
Well... Yeah, but then,
this makes a bigger mess. It makes a bigger scene. It makes, like...
Yeah, but their service weapons are traceable.
Okay, I don't know. I still don't think setting an officer on fire in his police car in what is implied to be the middle of the evening. Like, it's nighttime, but it's always nighttime at Beacon Hills, and we cut from there to him just at work.
Yeah,
and
he's like still at work.
Lydia and Stiles are in the police station, so it's implied to be before midnight, is all I'm gonna say.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends. I'm not sure how, like, I'm trying so, but that's the thing, too, is, like, I think the show is asking too much of us. Like, asking us to be doing too much, like, behind-the-scenes work, because I was about to be like, I don't know how they staff sheriff's offices if it's something like you have to have somebody always there, and is Haig like going in for his overnight shift kind of thing.
And this is part of my issue with the benefactor plot in general, is like I feel like I've lost my concept on both how big Beacon Hills and the world is, where it's like we now have 2 separate wolf packs that we are intimately like we spend time with Satomi.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but it's like we get a sense of who she is and her pack. And then there are, like, roving assassins.
How many professional assassins are we talking about?
We're starting to lose count.
It's like a John Wick.
Okay, I was literally going to say John Wick, too. Okay. John Wick as well. So, okay, my first thing, and again, I think this is asking me to be doing too much heavy lifting, but I don't think Satomi's pack is based in Beacon Hills. I think they were, like, coming back because of this.
Uh-huh.
And then, but then, to your point, you are totally right, where it's like, you get to a certain point in the John Wick movies, and he's, like, running around Paris, and literally, there are no innocent bystanders. There are no vacationing families. There are no groups of children at any of these like landmarks. It is only assassins.
And I mean, they have established that this is, you know, a worldwide, because the Argents are French, and like they have established it. But there's something about it this season that feels unwieldy. Like,
no, you're totally right, because again, it kind of, to compare it to Buffy again, which we do kind of a lot, I would kind of agree, because it's like, for whatever reason, I think it kind of makes a little bit more sense in Buffy, because it never feels like the majority of the population is an evil thing or like participating in the evil
I think,
action.
but it's also because Buffy has so much, it was more episodes a season.
That part, for sure.
And there were so many Monster of the Weeks that you just get a feeling for the vastness of the reality.
Because I would say
Teen Wolf is very streamlined storytelling.
I agree with that. I would say though that in my mind, Beacon Hills and Sunnydale are similarly sized.
Probably, yeah. But we see, because of production limitations, we see less of Beacon Hills, I would say.
Less of like the actual like physical area of it, yeah.
And all of these are aspects of the show that have been around or been in play, but I think it's one thing if the show asks us to take a leap for one plot, but it's like all of the plots at this point, I feel like it's asking too much of us.
Sure.
So I don't really get any respite. But again, this was a entertaining episode.
Yeah.
It was an exciting episode, and very, very good material for our secondary and tertiary plot. We get good work from Parish.
Right.
Young deputy. I bet you've never even fired a...
We get good work from Mason.
You're coming, and we're gonna find you a nice girl that you can embarrass yourself in front of, and find me a lacrosse player. Because statistically speaking, someone on your team has got to be on my team. All right?
We get good work from Braden.
How'd you break your nose?
What's that supposed to mean?
Honestly, we get good work from Brunsky.
$1,000. You actually think we have that kind of money?
I know you don't. If you did, Daddy Sheriff would have paid the bill by now.
He's actually a good character,
I'm talking
but
about.
I do hate him. It's a good character to have.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm glad that they chose continuity in a place where they didn't have to.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I have 500.
And I'm sure this man is lovely, but
Like in real life.
to punch him in his face. Blech.
Follow me.
It feels like he spends a lot of his days sniffing things.
And watching hardcore pornography. I hate him, but...
Because you said that where you were like, I hate him so much, and I was like, but he's a good character to have on this show. The implication is that they killed him off. I cannot remember, because I'm with you. I felt like he was around longer.
Yeah.
But I also, that just happens sometimes when I've only seen a show once.
So, like, without spoiling too much, someone else gets sent to Eichen House for, like, a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought...
I feel like he's there.
I thought that he was menacing her in those episodes. So, like...
I don't remember. But... we get so Parish survives this attempt. We get this amazing scene of him coming into the sheriff's station, charred from head to toe.
Yeah. Just nude.
Eventually they give him like little shorts, but they let him be naked a decent amount. I was surprised. And he just goes for Haig.
Yeah.
And the best part is that it's presented almost like he beats him to death.
You're dead.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, and then he's got like a baby split lip and like one butterfly
Not even a bruise when we see him later. But again, it's the kind of thing where I would much rather have him around for a few more episodes than, I don't know.
I get it.
And it's also, because I was trying to think, what is it about Parish that I like so, because I really took to him.
I think it's Ryan Kelly's performance a lot.
And I don't think it's as simple as I do think he's hot, but I like it. He follows the Scott McCall recipe where it's like, I like that he's sweet and I like that he's boyish.
Yeah.
And that's a quality you don't get a lot from cops and or vets, like Army veterans.
Sure. And he's not dumb, but he's like a little bit simple because he's like, are you guys all like Lydia? Or...
Just tell me one thing. Are all of you like Lydia? Are you all psychic? Psychic? Yeah. Not exactly.
Also, Lydia's not
Okay,
psychic.
then what are you?
And they're all just
but
like...
that's also very astute.
Yeah.
And because you even said in our watch-along where you're like, she's not psychic. And that is a running thing on the show. However, psychic is one of... There's a hand... when
It feels more overarching.
Well, and it's like when you're dealing with supernatural elements and when you're dealing with introducing people and characters to supernatural elements, there's a handful of things that are graspable to the average. Like, for instance, we say, like, I would say the most graspable thing to an average person is like a ghost.
Sure.
There could be a ghost on a show without breaking the worldview, or because it's like Pretty Little Liars. Remember, there's like a ghost in an episode, and it doesn't.
Well, and Nana Rose is.
Nana
Rose is Riverdale.
Yeah.
Still,
but it doesn't fully like it doesn't challenge your understanding of the show.
Yeah.
And so something like a psychic, it's just on the periphery enough that a average normal person could say it in conversation and not be laughed out of the room.
Sure. Well, also, we are well on record with enjoying stuff that has just like gentle magic in it. Yeah.
Love it.
We're like, even like obviously way less than this, where it's just like sometimes like even like
my example
happy
is,
endings.
Yeah. Oh yes. I was gonna say my example is Liar Liar.
Yes.
Just gentle magic and an otherwise grounded
movie that takes place in reality.
Yeah. So again, that Parish stuff is really great. But then we get it's just such a heaping portion of Lydia lore where it's like we're introduced to her grandmother in the previous season and the previous episode, and she's suddenly so important. And in order for that plot to work, for me, her grandmother needed to be established more along the lines of Claudia.
I was gonna say, for me, who's Claudia?
Styles'
yes,
mom.
Sure. For me, that part of this episode, parts of that part of this episode are a little sloppy. And I think Holland Roden did literally everything she could with it. But that monologue in Derek's loft is wearisome.
How'd your grandmother know her?
She didn't. She found her because of another woman named Maddie.
The woman she loved. I never met her. How'd she die? How's not the story. It's what happened right before. She was there on a weekend. Catch up on where. She started hearing this. Hey, Rain. Don't you look up the Oh, she's fast. She kept hearing Rain. She called Maddie. She was kind of like...
And it is aided by all of their cutaways to them raptured by the story that she's telling.
But it is labored. Like, I can tell that was, like, not the first take. I feel like they did that for days.
And it's also just, like, back to the whole are you psychic and the ghost conversation where it's like a premonition is something that is, I think, feasible. It's just graspable. The average person walking down the street can be like, oh, she had a premonition. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. But it's like the way it's presented, it's like Lorraine can't cope with this premonition and devotes her life to trying to understand it. And I'm like, I need more than a flashback.
So I totally agree with you. What I will say is that, again, while it is labored and it's not enough, because like we should have found this out for the reason she devoted her life to it is because she had the premonition and it still didn't work because Maddie died in the boat wreck, even though it was sunny.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is trying to understand she's trying to understand about herself because she couldn't save her partner.
It would be too much. It would be too easy for me to just chalk it off as like a premonition. Like I wouldn't think, and I guess they do name drop IBM. So I mean, I guess she's influential and or plugged in enough that she has these resources. But it's like I wouldn't know how to be. I assume
that's where Lydia's money came from. Is that like Grandma Lorraine had IBM stock?
Yeah, because that is one of the other implications. Is that up until this point, Lydia and Jackson were wealthy.
Kids,
yeah. And we've said it, and I'm going to say it again. That's like, I really appreciate the notion behind the money problems that all the characters have this season, but I think it's executed in a very clunky,
I agree.
almost eye roll inducing way.
Yes, I agree, and I agree for one specific reason. I know that none of our heroes would ever be like, I'm having money problems, I'm gonna murder this person so I can pay off my debt. But like, not even Malia tries to take anybody else out, and she would be the most likely to do it. And so that's kind of the thing where it's like the morality that Scott has kind of annoys me, because he's still got that sack of several $100,000 where it's like $250,000. No, yes, yeah, under his bed, and he just won't use it. And I'm like, your roof is leaking. Your dad skipped out again. Obviously, it's for work, and it was like above board. The electricity got turned off. Your mom can't work any more doubles. She's already like about to fall down,
running the hospital.
And so I'm just like, that's the kind of the thing for me where I'm like, yeah, everybody's having money problems, but then literally a sack of money got dropped in their laps, and Scott is like, well, we can't. It's Peter's money, and Peter fucking sucks, man. Take Peter's money.
Well, and again, because for me, that does check for Scott. And
although they're paying out the ass for that loft, so they obviously do need the money.
And that's sort of the least of my criticisms, but that's what I mean where I'm like, the show's asking too much of me in too many places, that it's like I can only hand wave so many things away before I start getting frustrated. And because again, there's this there's another Deadpool.
But it's like all the already dead people. It's based on the thing that Lydia found, or that was given to her.
So then it was just a really old Deadpool. I'm
not sure it was a Deadpool, because if it was, then Brunsky should have gotten money for all those people, because he killed every single one of them. In Eichenhaus.
But we get this flashback about how...
Because Stiles calls him an angel of death, which I feel like is too nice, even though that is what they call nurses who do that.
I was about to be like, this fucking Dr. Sleep motherfucker.
Yeah.
But and I mean, I'm going to be a stickler about a thing, but I feel like I'm being a stickler in a way that the show has given me permission, if not instructed me to be a stickler in this place, where it's like, Lydia having an affinity for mermaids feels like, and The Little Mermaid feels like something we should have heard about well before this. Yeah. And again,
especially with her long flowing red locks.
Hair, yeah. And both her and Stiles are too canonically smart to conflate Ariel for that to be, because Lydia literally corrects him.
What do you remember doing with your grandmother?
We read.
Okay, what did you read?
The Little Mermaid.
You read that movie?
It was a book.
Stiles, you're smarter than that.
Hans Christian Andersen.
He is smarter than that.
Type it in, Little Mermaid.
And I said, like, in our watch-along where I was like, Stiles, you would know that.
Yeah.
And Lydia's like, no, the book from Hans Christian Andersen, in which she does not have a name.
Yeah, and it's certainly not Ariel.
It wouldn't even be close to.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, it's something that that is unique, that I'm uniquely pedantic about.
But
the show has...
in relation to you, am similarly pedantic about it, where I'm just like, that's not correct. Because But
again, like I said, the show's given me permission and even instructed me to view those characters that way.
Yeah, as smart. As, like, too smart to be. Like that line coming out of Stiles' mouth, like, maybe if that was Malia, then fine. Or Scott, yes. Scott's a dummy. But... yeah, I mean, in no way do I think that Lydia never watched The Little Mermaid.
No.
But it's like, then you're right. She made a specific point to be like, oh, it was a book first, dipshit.
Hans Christian Andersen, she said his name.
Yeah.
And for it to be, again, for it to be this thing that is so near and dear and personal to Lydia and her grandmother, it's like, these are two elements of Lydia that we are just now finding out that are so pivotal to the plot in this episode. And in a way that, again, if it were the only thing, I'd say okay, but I have issues with this season.
So the other thing for me, the like biggest kind of like elephant in the room is that Meredith is the benefactor.
It's not him. He's not the benefactor.
No,
And he wasn't on my list. But he was a bad person.
I just still don't even remember where it goes. We get the reveal, and she comes out and announces herself.
She sort of like orchestrated them to kill Brunsky somehow.
And he wasn't on the list. He was just a bad man.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't remember their justification. We're going to have to watch the next episode. So that's more, I was saving my benefactor conversation for that.
I mean, then at least the one surprise in this is she's not dead. Which is what we thought she was until this moment. I don't know. I'm very up in the air about Meredith. It feels like the character Meredith
doesn't deserve.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a character assassination of a character that we barely...
Yeah.
And she's just been presented... Because it also, we get in one of many vignettes that Lydia's mom, like, almost killed her. Grandmother almost killed her, like, drove her insane. And whether or not that's real or just Lydia's assessment, I don't remember. But it's like, I don't know. I just hate that. And again, I mean, I know bad things happen. I know tragedy is a thing, but it just feels icky. Like, it feels...
It feels weird to do to a character who's been presented as very innocent and very fragile and damaged the whole time, to then be just some sort of criminal mastermind. And you're like, how and why is this what's happening?
And I guess I will say it now and we can expound upon it, but this whole season was convinced that the benefactor was going to be Victoria Argent.
Yeah.
And
there's your clown makeup again.
Just think that would have been such
a better. It definitely would have been better.
That she had somehow survived her, and I mean, with nothing but precedents for that.
Yeah, for sure.
There are precedents
up to and including
under
Meredith.
the tree. Yeah. For how she could have found a way to survive, and that she, because we always felt like Victoria was half of a character, and that because she devoted her life to this world and this cause, and it did nothing but
ruin her life.
Yeah, I wanted her to be Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah,
I wanted this sort of like, I'm finally gonna put an end to this whole reality.
Yeah.
And that she was trying to wipe out the supernatural entirely.
That's agree.
Completely what I thought was gonna happen. It makes the Allison being the keyword. And I just boo-boo the fool when Meredith came around the corner, and I was just like, and that's I feel like that's
I remember all three of us being very disappointed, being like, what?
And I feel like that's unfair to put on someone, like a creative, like I'm thinking about, the crew, the production team and all that. But it just does get frustrating when your own theories you feel like are better.
You don't have to couch that in anything. It's better. That's better than what we're doing.
and so similarly, I said that I feel like the show needed to swap Victoria and Kate. And I don't literally mean that the same plot, but I think that the way that Kate ends up being this cockroach that keeps rearing her head, I think Kate should have actually had the noble hero, or not hero, she was never a hero.
No, but like the noble
hunter's death. Yeah. And I think Victoria should have
gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Had the berserkers, all the stuff. Because, no, you're totally right, because it's like, she's got so much more Georgina Sparks energy.
And we just barely got to see her be the queen pin. Yeah. They implied it.
You find him. You kill him. You cut him in half. Anybody want a cookie?
Yeah.
And Edie was so good at that type. And I don't know.
Whereas, like, so Edie Mays is, like, very good at it, and it sometimes feels like Jill Wagner is, like, putting on a costume. To try to be bad, you know?
Jill,
it's, like, reasons
why... I love Jill Wagner.
I
think she's great, but she does have cool girl energy.
It's why I didn't like Katie Sackhoff for a long time, because I was like, oh, are you on The Boys show? Like, I think she's great now. I love her a lot. I worked through a lot of internalized misogyny on my own part.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that as, like, a trying to adapt and, like, live in the environment you're given or whatever. But Yeah, I still kind of feel that way about Jill Wagner because I'm just, I feel like all I'm doing is digging my hole deeper. I just don't think she's quite talented enough to pull it off.
I would never.
Oh, well, when she watches this, I'm in big trouble.
And I know you are watching. There was still a couple more things. Why are all the printers?
That part, I have no idea.
And they're like, multiple characters are taking note of it, but they're not nearly bothered enough by it. And I will give them that printers are of the devil.
Of course, yes.
Like, where's that oatmeal?
So the printer or the power flickered the other day, and it was enough to like turn some stuff off. And we were in Will's office, just figuring out what was going on or whatever. And we have a printer in there. It doesn't work, but we never threw it away. And it just made like a chugga noise. And Rachel goes, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "The printer that doesn't work, obviously." But the thing for me is that it's like Liam's printer and then Coach's printer are just like spitting out
Styles. Yeah.
But Styles isn't just spitting stuff out. It was out of paper. So it's a different thing. So like, is somebody possessing the printers of Beacon Hills as
we
well?
probably will get more, because again, at this point, I'm blind. I don't remember the rest of the season. We did get our rave of the season.
Yep.
Oh, this is the rave.
A outside bonfire rave?
I feel like I remember there being laser.
As we see lasers.
Well, because I wouldn't have called it a rave with just the bonfire.
Sure.
It was the lasers. And we got really, it's not a lot, but we got really good Malia material. I still think her being mad about this feels out of character. Mm-hmm. However, it clearly is what we're doing. Yeah. And she sold it really well. And I will say that once we take that off the table, if I just take it on red, that she's mad about it, this feels authentic.
This feels authentic.
Like, the way that she's mad about it and being like...
Hey, what are you doing here?
Getting drunk. What are you doing?
I love her.
Trying to make sure no one gets hurt.
That sounds fun, too.
I'm gonna go get drunk and sexy dance at a party because that's what I want to do. And the way that she's so matter-of-fact with Scott, all of that feels right.
So the only thing I'm going to say is I'm going to reiterate that I don't think she gives a shit that Peter is her father. I really think she's only mad they kept it from her. And she even says that in this where she's like,
"We didn't tell you about Peter."
To protect me. That's what Peter said you would say. And guess what he said next? That you were right. Does that surprise you?
No, it makes me wonder what he wants. We need to stay together. You and me, Styles.
I don't want to talk about style. I just want to dance and get drunk.
So it's like, I already feel her over the hump of her anger as well, so it's like kind of whatever, but I don't think she cares at all. I don't think she's angry that Peter is her father. It's just about the secret keeping. Mm-hmm. Because she trusts Styles and Scott. Mm-hmm. So...
Sheriff Stilinski, his name's Noah. When do we get his name?
I don't know. It's listed already.
Yeah. I just feel weird because I call all of the other parents by their first name, but then I call him Sheriff Stilinski.
Put some respect on his name.
Well, I think it's a little bit like it's a title. Like, he's the sheriff.
We also we didn't know his name from the beginning, so I think we were always just calling him Sheriff Stilinski until we found out.
He did get shot.
It's sort of like Big on Sex and the City. I'm not calling you John. Get out of here.
But that I love because it's just so...
It's just John. Yeah.
That I think is hilarious. But he got shot.
Well, Haig shot him.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Hey!
Oh, yeah.
Haig's...
While he was wildly firing, trying to kill Parish again.
Naked. Wrestling him to the ground.
I did love that Brayden punched him in the nose as well.
And who the hell are you?
I'm a U.S. Marshal working in conjunction with this office.
Girl, no, you're not.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
How'd you get those scars?
A werewolf? How'd you break your nose?
What's that supposed to
be? Incredible. No notes, Brayden.
She came in and accosted him. That was good. Is there Derek plot?
He's like, basically lost all of his powers. He admits it to Scott because he has a gun, and Scott's like, I thought you didn't like guns, blah, blah, blah. He still comes, they like come to rescue them from the gasoline at the end. There's not like a lot, but I guess that's why we're like, that's what we're assuming is the reason why his name was one of the cipher keys. Is because he's like going to die, maybe, based on whatever Kate did to him. But, I mean, how many times has Derek died? Come on.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think we're good with this conversation, and we're going to watch the next episode, and then if there's anything that bleeds over, we'll touch on it then. So
the Mason stuff was very cute. He was like,
that's what I meant when I was like, the secondary characters got ample time to shine.
He did say, he was like, because Liam was trying to get drunk, and Mason was like,
I think you should get drunk. And I mean stumbling down, fall on your ass, passed out, drunk. Why? Maybe then, when I ask you what's going on, you'll be too drunk to lie.
But he seems to not be holding, like, a serious grudge about it. He's just, like, annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. That was that.
Yep.
We'll be back.
Bye.
See you,